Welcome back to Full Grip Games Halloween Tournament. We've got Ben Peacock playing Dark Spread against yours truly, Winnie the Pooh, playing a Turbo Colorless deck. I've got a great game for you tonight. You're going to want to see it. Thanks for checking out the channel. Please subscribe if you're enjoying Gym Leader Challenge content. I try to post a match from our league every week. And tonight's match between the Dark Spread and the Turbo Colorless is a fantastic game. Ben Peacock on the left playing that Turbo Colorless has the Absol with the Swirling Disaster attack in the active, which can do 10 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon, begin softening them up for the stronger spread attackers that come later in the game. Now Ben's going to play a Trainer's Mail on his first turn. Can't play a supporter, but does find the Buddy Buddy Poffin. Is going to focus on getting a Coughing and a Sneasel down. Now, this is my very first time playing against a Dark Spread deck, and while I am familiar with a lot of the cards that would go in it, this was a learning experience for me, and I was excited to see how it would play out, so I'll try and narrate to you my thoughts between my plays, and you can kind of see how I approached the matchup. So I'm starting with a Bidoof in the active and have a Pokegear, and I'm able to find an Arven there. Now, in my hand, I have TM Turbo Energize already, which is what you want to see on your first turn, going second for the Colorless deck. You can begin powering up one of your beefy attackers like that Snorlax, and that's why off of the Arven I find U-Turn Board and Nest Ball. So Nest Ball is going to get me that Snorlax, but in my hand I also do not have an energy, so you'll see what play I make here. I don't have, my hand honestly is not that great beyond what I play down here, so I'm going to Rotom Phone to look at the top 5 cards of my deck and choose a card I find there. I am looking for an energy so I can pull off this Turbo Energize play. And I'm debating whether or not I want to maybe put a consistency card or that capture energy. So I'm deciding to put the capture energy on top of my deck, and this is a semi-risky play, but considering the cards I had in my hand, you'll see I think it was the best play I had going for me. So I put the capture energy on top of the deck. I have some other Pokemon in hand. I have Squovit. And Squovit says, shuffle your hand to the bottom of your deck and draw 1 card. I also bench the Rally Back Kangaskhan. And here I'm debating what cards to play down and if I want to use that Squovit ability to draw just into the capture energy. You can see I attach the Turbo Energize here. I attach Fighting Fury Belt there. And my last card, I don't quite remember what it is, but it's not anything that's going to keep me going in this game. So I'm going to use Squovit to find that capture energy that I placed there, get out another basic Pokemon, and now I can also use the TM Turbo Energize attack with the energy I found there. But I am leaving myself with a 0-card hand. But with Squovit, assuming it does not die, I can see up to 2 cards per turn. But Snorlax is nearly fully powered up. I have Bidoof down, and I have Doduo down, which, depending on what I top deck in the next few turns, confident that I can easily get out of this hand. And like I said, my hand was not great, so holding on to it was not doing me any favors. And you can see Ben here just decides to draw and use the attack on Absol right away, maybe hoping I don't draw into anything. So my top deck, nothing good. I'm going to immediately put that at the bottom with Squovit. And I do find Dodrio. So I'm going to use the Zooming Draw ability to put a damage counter on myself and draw another card. And I don't quite remember what it is, but it is unplayable at the moment. And you can see Ben Peacock has a Marnie in his hand and probably chose not to play it because I had 0 cards in hand. And now comes the choice again. Does he want to just use Swirling Disaster again? When I can see basically 3 new cards every turn between Squovit and Dodrio. And I think at this point this is the right play from Ben. Going to play the Marnie, even though it does fill my hand up to a higher count. All I needed was one card to open up the floodgates and for me to start attacking with Snorlax. I just needed one energy or one supporter or one barrel or something like that. And before playing that Marnie, Ben did put a Lost City into play, maybe hoping to find an attack with Hoopa or something like that, start Lost Zoning some of my guys. Going to play the Battle Compressor to get rid of the Battle VIP Pass, which cannot be played after his first turn, the Hisuian Heavy Ball, and a Dark Energy. Now, putting Lost City into play, in my mind, does open some counterplay from me. You can see, I'll explain what I'm going to go for on this next turn. Ben does just go for the Swirling Disaster here. And now, since the Lost City is in play, I really want to take advantage of it. Putting the Absol into the Lost Zone is not terribly important for me, but I really wanted to target down that Sneasel here. In my mind at the time, the Sneasel would evolve into the Weavile that has the Evil Admonition attack that does 50 for every ability in play. And as you can see, I have 4 abilities in play, which would one-hit KO my Snorlax. So in order to prevent Ben from one-hit KOing my Snorlax, I thought I would try and dig here for a Boss or a Guzma to take the KO with Snorlax onto that Sneasel and put it in the Lost Zone, taking advantage of the Lost City that was in deck. So I'm zooming, drawing, I'm using Trainer's Mail, trying to find the Boss or the Guzma. Trainer's Mail does find me Evolution Incense. And I can play that to find Bibarel and draw a couple more cards. But you'll see next turn, I did make, because of my matchup inexperience, I did make a pretty significant misplay here. Zooming draw, while it did get me another card deeper in my deck, it did also put my Dodrio up to 4 damage counters on it, meaning it only has 60 HP remaining. Here I use Jet Energy to bring up the Dodrio. It has enough damage counters to knock out anything on his board right now, so I thought I would save Snorlax for a later turn. Now I'm going to Nest Stash, and then I can use Bibarel to draw up to 5 to hopefully find that Boss or that Guzma. And unfortunately, I do whiff the Boss and the Guzma there. But I have the tag call for Guzma and Hala, as well as Cynthia and Caitlyn. Had I found the Boss of the Guzma on the Sneasel, I believe I would have run away with this game probably. That Weavile is a key card in Ben's deck, and you'll see why on this next turn. But anyways, as I was saying, the misplay, Ben actually doesn't play the Weavile that has the Evil Admonition attack. He plays the one with the Rule of Evil attack that does 60 damage to everything with an ability. My supporter for turn was Guzman Hala, and I decided to play it for just the Stadium. Since I am not knocking out the Sneasel, I figured that bumping the Lost City is better. I don't want my Dodrio or my Snorlax or anything else to get Lost Zoned. And here I grab the Parallel City, and I actually play the Parallel City against myself to discard my Skwovet from the bench. I debated putting it into play early on the game because I knew it was a spread deck and didn't want to give up an easy prize, but I needed it to draw into that Capture Energy turn 1. But now I used the Parallel City to get it off my bench to prevent that easy prize for Ben. Anyways, as I was saying, the Weavile that Ben plays, you can see it in the hand here off of the Pokegear. Has the Rule of Evil attack, which does 60 damage to everything with an ability. And the misplay I made was putting Dodrio up to 4 damage counters, which means it only has 60 HP remaining, so it would die to a Weavile. Had I left the Dodrio at only 3 damage counters, Ben would have to find something like a Muscle Band or a Dark Claw to knock out the Dodrio. But if he did not, then I would be able to take another prize with Dodrio, attach a couple more energies to my Pokemon, and maybe get ahead in this energy trade. And then he would also have to swing into my Dodrio again to finish it off. So, unfortunate for me, I completely forgot the Rule of Evil Weavile existed. I was not thinking about it as I was heading into this game. Though, had I been able to find the boss, it would have been irrelevant anyways. But this was pretty bad turn for me to put my Dodrio into that range. And Ben has a great turn on his end, being able to get the double colorless attached to his Guzzlord and also take a knockout and spread 60 with the Weavile. So now Snorlax, even with the Fighting Fury Belt, is in range of a Guzzlord attack. With 8 damage counters on me, I only have 190 HP, so 120 from the Guzzlord would be enough to take 2 prizes. And now my goal is to get it out of range of the Guzzlord, or to find a boss to take out the Guzzlord myself, since another attack from the Weavile wouldn't KO the Snorlax. Guzzlord is now the biggest threat when there's an energy on it. You always want to target that down against the Dark deck. And the Guzzlord does pair well with the spread deck, even though it's not a spread attacker, because your spread attackers weaken all of your opponent's Pokemon to be able to put them in range for Guzzlord's attack, since there are quite a few Pokemon in GLC that can survive a Guzzlord attack. 120 is on the low end of a one-hit KO. Anything with 130 HP or more obviously would survive. So we'll see what I'm able to do here. Squovit gone and Dodrio gone, definitely limiting my draw power in this game. So that's why I am searching out that Minccino to get Cinccino up and running. I decided to play Field Blower on myself to re-expand my bench size and also put U-Turn Board in my hand. Attached to that Bibarel, it's not doing me much good since Bibarel has 2 retreat. And here I go playing the Night Stretcher. I'm going to put that Doduo in my hand back on my bench. I like Dodrio in this matchup if I can keep it at the right damage counter amount, because the spread attacks also increase the damage I can do with Dodrio. So I wanted to get that back out, but unfortunately I did not check my prizes thoroughly enough. I only played 2 recovery cards in this colorless deck between Night Stretcher and Rescue Stretcher. Yeah, very greedy, but I found that's usually all you need. You can recover up to 4 Pokemon, and Snorlax is a big guy. But my Rescue Stretcher is prized. Dodrio is still in the discard pile, so until I find the Rescue Stretcher, I cannot get that Dodrio out of the discard pile. And also you can see I'm discarding the Rotom here with the Cynthia and Caitlyn to draw 3 cards and get Guzma and Hollaback into my hand. So I feel confident in this moment discarding Pokemon, thinking that, Rescue Stretcher is in the deck and I'll be able to just toss back in the Rotom, the Dodrio, the Snorlax when it goes down, things like that. I do find the Sweet Honey, which was my Winnie the Pooh tech. It says flip a coin until you get tails. For every heads, you can heal 40 damage. And I'm able to hit 1 heads and heal 40 from my Snorlax, which actually does put it out of range of Guzzlord's attack. So Sweet Honey coming in clutch there. Ben would have to find 2 energies on his Guzzlord and a Field Blower to be able to take the 2 prize knockout onto this Snorlax. So I was happy to hit at least 1 heads there. But I know if I had hit 2 heads and completely healed Snorlax, I would have been completely in the clear. But unfortunately only hit 1. But I'm going to go ahead and use Thumping Snore to knock out this Weavile. And Guzzlord does come up, telling me that Ben probably has the cards he needs to attack in hand. And with the Raihan here, getting an energy onto the Guzzlord, Ben can search his deck for any card. And Ben is immediately going to grab that Field Blower. And while not ideal that he was able to grab it, because of the Sweet Honey healing, it forces Ben to find the Field Blower now. If I hadn't used Sweet Honey there, or if it hadn't healed anything, Ben would have been able to grab any other card, such as, setting up the rest of his board as supporter for next turn, something like that. Because if I'm able to take out this Guzzlord, Ben is not in a great spot with only a Coughing and a Hoopa in play. But unfortunately, my board is just also not looking that great. I had no other energy in play because I needed some turns to attach to the Dodrio and then the Snorlax to be able to attack. And now if I want to swing back into this Guzzlord, I have to play Mela to even swing into this Guzzlord. And unfortunately, Cyclizar only does 140 damage. My only buff to damage is the powerful colorless energies. Guzzlord has 150 HP, and since I have to play Mela plus a double energy, there is absolutely no way for me to get enough damage in play. Enough damage from my Cyclizar to take out this Guzzlord. And also, since my Night Stretcher was played and Rescue Stretcher is prized, Snorlax is stuck in the discard pile right now, so I wasn't able to accelerate to a Snorlax again. So unfortunate sequence of events there for me, but since I put the Bravery Charm onto this Cyclizar, it can survive an attack from the Guzzlord, so I'm hoping that Ben just doesn't have a Gust around my Cyclizar to take another 2 prizes. I want him to just swing into this one, and then I can take the KO on the next turn. If I went down another 2 prizes, this game would probably be over immediately. And you can see Ben has the Weezing evolution as well as the double energy, the twin energy attachment to it. Weezing has the Let's Have a Blast ability. It's another key spread attacker in this deck. It does 50 to the active and 10 to every other Pokemon for its double colorless attack. But its ability, Let's Have a Blast, says that when it is knocked out by damage from your opponent, flip a coin, and if it heads, your opponent's Pokemon is also knocked out. So it has a chance to just instantly KO your opponent's Pokemon when it gets KO'd. So an incredibly strong ability there, while also spreading damage. So it forces your opponent to really think about if it's worth swinging into the Weezing and taking that risk. And I was pretty scared when I picked it up to read it right now. Again, I forgot that card existed. I wasn't sure that was going to come into play. Figured he just played the neutralizing gas Weezing, which turns out Ben plays both, since Coughing can evolve into either Galarian Weezing or regular Weezing. So interesting tech there. Deck lists are in the description. You can check them out. And thankfully, you can see Ben did have to just swing into my Cyclizar. And I am able to take out the Guzzlord without giving up another 2 prizes. This also buys me a turn to start setting up energy attachments on my other Pokemon, but nearly all of my Pokemon are in the discard pile now. All my attackers remaining. Dodrio's in the discard, Snorlax is in the discard, Kangaskhan is in the discard, and the Fanrotom is in the discard, which can also get in there for 70 damage. I play Guzma Hala here, and here's another misplay on my end, just not the cleanest gameplay from me tonight. I play Guzman Hala to find a special energy, even though I had special charge in hand and planned on playing it, but unfortunately missequenced a little bit and played the special charge after I played the Guzman Hala. So the only special energy left in my deck at this moment was double energies or the rainbow energy, and I only needed 1 energy attachment to take out this Guzzlord. My plan here is to preserve the Cyclizar, hopefully find my Cinccino, and Cinccino has a 1 energy attack for 40 damage that also accelerates a basic energy from your discard pile. So I thought that would be the ideal attacker into this Guzzlord to take the knockout as well as get an extra energy into play. So I'm retreating that fire energy off of the Cyclizar here. Was trying to dig for this Cinccino and unfortunately whiffed it. But I knew that even if I did whiff it, it would be okay since the Minccino can use Pound for 10 and Guzzlord only had 10 HP remaining. So not sure if you've ever seen a Minccino Pound take the knockout on a Guzzlord before, but you saw it here first. And the reason the rainbow energy is such a misplay is because now my Minccino is only at 50 HP remaining, which, as I said before, Weezing does exactly 50 damage. Had I played Special Charge first and then used the Guzman Hala to find something like Jet Energy instead, I would have preserved an energy on Cyclizar. I would have not had a damage counter on my Minccino. And then the Weezing would not have been able to KO my Minccino this turn. And I would have been able to maybe evolve into Cinccino on the next turn. So that was quite the misplay as well. Unfortunate for me. Ben taking advantage of every moment, playing great, finding the cards he needs. Going to be able to recycle the Weavile line with the Ordinary Rod. I knew that would be one of Ben's path to winning this game. So he puts back the Weavile line and goes up with the Weezing. Is able to knock out my Minccino and put 10 on everything else. I'm going to promote that Doduo since that U-turn board comes back to hand. Ben only has 2 prizes remaining. I have 3 remaining. And it's not looking too hot right now. I have lots of damage on my board. I play Hisuian Heavy Ball here and confirm that the Rescue Stretcher is indeed prized. I'm desperate to find Snorlax to hopefully tank some hits, get him back into play. I've got Capture Energy in my hand as an attachment to Cyclizar, but no Pokemon in the deck to target. U-turn board down onto the Doduo. Ben only has 2 cards in hand, but I'm going to put him to another 2 cards. I'm going to play the Iono. I'm trying to dig through my deck. I really would like to find Town Map. I'm desperate to find Town Map so I can choose the Rescue Stretcher when I take this prize on Weezing. The other thing is there I do find the Town Map and I can choose Rescue Stretcher to get back some Pokemon on my next turn. But the other thing I'm thinking is that I have to swing into this Weezing, and in order to have a chance at winning this game, I need this Cyclizar to survive. I need Ben to not flip heads on this Weezing to knock out my Cyclizar, and it does roll off the board, but I do survive. Flips tails. I'm able to knock out the Weezing without getting knocked out in return. So that was incredibly important, and thankfully was the way the dice rolled for me in that turn, saved me a little bit. Ben finds the Research and does have to discard that Weavile again. It was stuck in the hand, but Sneasel is not in play yet. I take the Rescue Stretcher off the prizes, but once this Cyclizar goes down, I have no energy left in play. I've played my Iono. It is not looking too hot for me, but there is still routes to win. You can see Ben attaching to both the Yveltal and the Hoopa. Hoopa does 90 when it switches to the active, and the Yveltal does 2 damage counters to everything that already has damage on it. So I'm going to save that. Just going to focus on taking out my energy. Good play. Ben goes down to 1 prize remaining. The Sneasel did not come down this turn, so I'm not super worried of a Weavile attack to knock out my Barrel next turn. Send Doduo up, and this turn I finally am able to play the Rescue Stretcher. Also, Hoopa stuck in the active. There's nothing on Ben's board that can win the game right now unless he has a Boss or a Guzma. I saw Guzma get discarded, and my goal here is to just spend a turn attaching to Snorlax, put Snorlax in the active, and wait. Here, I have a Barrel for 1 because I'm looking for my Versus Seeker. I really want to put Ben down to a small hand size again after he played the Research. Versus Seeker is still in the deck, but my Barrel for 1 unfortunately did not find it. So now I'm debating which supporter I do want to play this turn. And I choose to play Hex Maniac to hopefully limit any of Ben's draw. But you'll see that this might come back to bite me again as well. Though it's not the end of the world to play that Hex Maniac now. I'll explain why when we get there. But Ben does find the Sneasel this turn and the Liepard evolution. So Weavile could come in next turn for an attack. Hoopa can't attack without switching again, so I'm only expecting the Yveltal attack to come down. And On my side, I have the double energy in my hand already, or at least there is one in my deck, so I know I'll be able to attack with Snorlax on my next turn. I just need Weavile to not attack eventually, and I need no Boss or Guzma on Ben's side, and there is a route for me to win with Snorlax. Ben plays a Colress's Tenacity of his own. Gonna get an energy attachment onto the Sneasel. Not what I love to see here. Is going to be able to use the Corrosive Wind attack with Yveltal to put 2 damage counters on everything that already has damage. Bibarel goes up to 90. Only 30 HP remaining on Bibarel, 40 HP remaining on Doduo. Snorlax does not take any damage. And here is where I should play Hex Maniac. I just played Hex Maniac a previous turn, but I should play Hex Maniac now because it prevents the Weavile from doing any damage. Since when the Weavile attacks, if I played Hex Maniac now, none of my Pokemon would have abilities, so none of them would take 60 damage. But my Versus Seeker is still in the deck, and I'm looking for either Iono or Hex Maniac here. Had I saved the Hex Maniac, maybe we would have been in a better position. Again, I only can Bibarel for a single card since I have no other draw support in play. And unfortunately, in my remaining 4 cards, both Guzma to find... Guzma could help me to target down the Sneasel, but also the Versus Seeker. Both have evaded me. They're both in those final 3 cards, unfortunately. So I play Colress's Tenacity to attach the double colorless to the Snorlax, and I just have to swing and go down to 1 prize and hope Ben does not have Weavile for game. Snorlax stays asleep and Ben draws, and since I wasn't able to play Hex Maniac or Iono, I'm just expecting Ben to have it at this point. Doesn't at the moment though, has to use trade. Gonna trade away the Beast Ring. You can see that Weavile is in the discard pile. Gonna have to find a card that can recover it, and off of the trade, Rescue Stretcher is the first card found. Gonna slam it down, get that Weavile back, evolve into Weavile, and we'll be able to use Rule of Evil to knock out my Bibarel. 60 damage to anything with an ability. Bibarel gets knocked out. Incredibly close game, well played by Ben. Definitely my matchup inexperience showing there, as well as just some not great plays on my end. But Ben completely took advantage of that. The Dark Spread deck has that surprise factor and can do that to your opponent. All in all, though, a great game, a very fun match. We'd love to see a game come down to the wire like that. And yeah, congrats. Ben earned his 3rd badge of the season. I still have yet to earn another badge. But it's coming. It is coming soon. So next week, the first week of Surging Sparks Legality. Subscribe, so you'll want to see that. Probably lots of decks featuring new cards from Surging Sparks, such as the Psychic Spread decks. Congrats to Ben. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.